Yeah, so we're just going to roll with it and we're live. Okay. Yeah.
Hey.
What's up, Facebook? I know it's been a while, my friends. I feel really bad about that, but I've only been on once a week on live, and I was on like 5 times a day for a while. So we're back and we're getting ready to record a new episode of our podcast. I have Megan Fenyoe here, and we're hopefully Geordoni Mckoy is going to be joining us soon. Praying for that, and I hope she jumps on. So we will go ahead and get started. So I'm going to click record and go.
Sorry, I was doing my watch party.
Good. We got a watch party going.
I want to make sure.
Got a watch party going. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go record and go ahead and start the podcast. Here we go. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Lead Up for Women for a new episode. We are so excited that you are here. And I'm also excited that I have this beautiful guest with me today, Megan Fenyoe. And what I love about her, and if you are looking at all on Facebook, or you follow us on Facebook, if you don't, shame on you. You should be. We are Lead Up for Women, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it. And if you notice Megan's shirt, Megan is wearing a shirt that says, I am enough. So today, the title for our show is I Am Confident and I Am Enough. And I am super excited to have two guests with me today. And we're going to be interviewing them in just a moment. But for now, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the events we have. So we have a really good problem going on over here at Lead Up for Women. And that problem that we have today is that we are growing at a very, very, very rapid pace. That's wonderful, because that means more women are lifting each other, more women are supporting each other, and more women are there to guide and not judge and not compete with each other. What a blessing that is. What that means is we have 2 webinars a month now. We used to do one Teaching Tuesday webinar on the second Tuesday. Now we do them on the second Tuesday and on the 4th Tuesday, which means the one that we just had this Tuesday was amazing. We had over 100 people registered for the webinar, and it was all about how to monetize your message. How important is that? And if you're a member of Lead Up for Women, all you have to do is go into your dashboard and you can see all of the webinars at any time that we've done for the last year and a half. So let me talk about what's coming up then. So we've got Carrie Connolly teaching on vision. I love it because she says a hope, wish, and a prayer exists here in your mind, and she helps you get that out on paper. So for an hour on the 4th Tuesday of this month, which is May 26th, she's going to be teaching us how to do that step by step. It's free. No excuses, my friend. It's free. So just get on over to Lead Up for Women or go on our Facebook page and sign up and register for the event, and we'll see you there. I'm really excited about it. And then we also have one the second Tuesday of June, and Rosanna Berardi, our member, is going to be teaching on, listen to this one's a good one. Hope is not a strategy. Turning your business into a money-making machine post-COVID. Who doesn't want to attend to that one? That's a wonderful way for us to start June, coming out of quarantine, and for us to be able to have the opportunity to learn from someone that's been able to do that. So I'm super excited to have Rosanna joining us. She's also going to be a facilitator at our Dallas, Texas sanctuary. So for those of you that don't know, we are getting ramped back up with our events. I am tired of not seeing my ladies. That's all I got to say. I am so ready to get out there and hug them and spend pamper time in a mansion. I have Donnie on here today, so she's going to talk a little bit about what that was like for her. But I just have to say, I am so excited to get back out, do events, help women transform themselves, their businesses, hold them accountable so that they can make some major transformations. And I have those events open back up. So we're going to combine all of them into September, and I'm super excited. So wait no more. Let me introduce my guest that I have today. So Donnie just joined us. Her name's Geordoni Mckoy, and her nickname is Coach Donnie. So Donnie, please say hi to everybody here today.
Hello, how are you? I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Thanks for being here. And then, like I said in the beginning, we have Megan Fenyoe here. Megan, please say hi to everyone that's on the podcast listening today.
Hi, everyone. It's so exciting to be here.
And just a reminder, we are also live on Facebook. So for those of you that are listening, we do go live every week on our Lead Up for Women page. So please feel free to jump over there anytime you want, and then you can see these beautiful ladies. Or if you want to just continue to subscribe and listen on our podcast episodes every week, we do at least one. So we hope you're enjoying them and you're motivated, educated, and inspired. All right, ladies. So Megan, I want to start with you. And why I love who you are as a person has to do with not that you're a therapist. For me, it has to do with, I don't know if you can see behind me, I have a sign that hangs up there that says, I am enough. That is really something, a phrase, a position, a way of being that is so close to my heart for women to know that you are enough. Because in my world, by saying you're not, then you're saying God created you wrong. And you are enough as a human being, just breathing the way you are. So you're an Air Force veteran. Yes, girl. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
A therapist, and you have a nonprofit that is
Yes.
I Am Enough. So welcome to the show. And what I would love for you to share with our listeners is a little bit about your journey. Tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get where you are today? Why did you start the I Am Enough movement? How did you go from the Air Force to a therapist to building a nonprofit, right? Tell us why you're so freaking awesome, girl. Let's do it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And it's really nice to meet you, Donnie. Did I say that right? Donnie, right? With a D? It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I have actually been a licensed mental health therapist for 15 years. And so I kind of did it backwards. I'm originally from Michigan. And in 2012, I had the opportunity to commission as an officer in the Air Force. And so I did that in 2012 and got stationed in California here where I live and provided mental health treatment to active duty and veterans. So I had already been a therapist. Then I moved to California, was not expecting to meet a husband. I was 33 years old and was this whole new life. I had always wanted to live in California. And that was the least thing from my mind. But lo and behold, guess what? He showed up. This man who I thought was the man of my dreams. And it was a whirlwind of a relationship. We were married within 11 months. And 6 months after our marriage, things started to change. He started to change. He became increasingly angry and unhappy. He started criticizing me, calling me names, crazy, insane, untrustworthy, delusional, and he started lying. And he ended up having an affair for 14 months of our 2.5-year marriage. And he kicked me out of our house twice. He filed for divorce 4 times and pulled the papers in 2.5 years. And as a therapist, I had no idea I was involved in a narcissistic abusive marriage. So he finally did go through with the divorce in 2016. But at that time, I was so involved in this cycle of abuse that I literally clung onto him like he was my drug. And even after the divorce, I stayed faithful and committed to him for 2 years. I ended up moving from Northern California to San Diego because I thought that that's what this nudging feeling that I had to do something more with my life was. I was ignoring all of the signs that God was telling me to walk away from him because I was too scared to. So we continued to date. We, saw each other all the time. He would come down to San Diego. We were dating, but I was still catching him in lies and all of these things. So long story short, in February of 2018, he came down to San Diego. And I remember praying, first time I prayed in 6 years. And I said this prayer before I picked him up from the airport. And I said, Lord, if this is not meant to be, you need to show me. Because everything was falling apart. I had just lost my 6-figure income 4 months before that. So going back just real quick, I got out of the Air Force and then got a job at a hospital. and then did a job transfer from Northern California to San Diego. So I had lost my 6-figure income 4 months before this. And so God was literally playing on my heart. And I just said, okay, if this wasn't meant to be, show me, because the divorce and the affair wasn't enough for me to walk away. And ladies, I kid you not, 24 hours later, he is sitting in my apartment. And I found out that he moved in a girl, not the girl he had an affair with, but another girl a month before our divorce was final, and bought her a new car. And she had been living in our home for the 2 years that we were dating. Now, I had never gone back to our home, so I didn't even know she existed. Mind you, I could not hire an attorney. I walked away with absolutely nothing but a bunch of debt and a broken heart. So that day, so I literally walked away from him on February 15th of 2018. I had no income. I had debt, and I lost what I thought was the love of my life. So all I could do, I had like literally hit rock bottom, was to get myself into my own therapy and started doing my trauma work and rebuilding who I was. And then I started writing my book. I did not know I was going to write a book, but my book was written in the most traumatic 5 months of my life. And then a year later, the book took off. I became a best-selling author. I started my own private practice. And then I was like, okay, I really want to give back. Like, everyone has been so amazing and so like just supportive of my story, because I had hidden behind this wall of acting like everything was okay. But for 6 years, I literally believed like I was nothing. I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I catastrophized that to affect not just my relationship with him, but every area of my life. I created that story in my head. And I believed I wasn't a good therapist. I wasn't a good friend. I wasn't a good daughter, all of these things. And on the inside, I was dying. And so during my trauma work, I wrote on sticky notes from the beginning why I was enough. And I had to start very small. So like my first sticky note said, I am enough because I got out of bed this morning. Because right when I started my trauma work, that's all I believed in, was that I got out of bed this morning, so I am enough. And so those sticky notes just kept happening for years, or for months and months. And so in January of 2019, so a little over a year ago, I decided to create visual coping cards. And as a therapist, I talk about the power of visualization and how we can combat negative thoughts. And so I came up with these cards. I had no idea what I was going to do with them. But here they are. This is I'm enough. And then on the back, it has the word because with 3 lines. And people can order these for free online. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just kind of start putting these out online. And so I launched it February 15th of 2019, which was the exact year after I walked away from my ex. And since that time, I have sent over 7,000 cards for free to 22 countries and 47 states. We're missing 3 states here in the US. But it's just literally taken off. And so people have organically heard about the movement and have gone and ordered their free cards online. And it was just so amazing. And so it's been a whirlwind of 2 years. And I know, I'm sure we'll talk about this in a little bit, but in September, I decided to turn the movement into a nonprofit, a 501c3. And then again, I was like, okay, what else can I do with this nonprofit? So I am currently raising money to build a domestic violence shelter, 24-hour shelter and transitional living home here in San Diego called Freedom Haven. And we just launched phase 1 of the fundraising campaign last week, May 1st. So I am here to tell you that no matter what happens in our life, right? Because we've all struggled with not feeling like enough, whether it be in our health, like health, relationships, jobs, what have you. But literally, when you allow yourself to get vulnerable and real and let the world see you, and you walk away from the things and the people that are toxic in your life will completely change. If you would have told me 2 years ago that I would be where I'm at, I'm still not making 6 figures, but life is not about making money. I get to wake up every day and help empower people to believe that they're enough. And like, if you would have told me I was going to be here 2 years ago, I would have laughed in your face, because 2 years ago, I was a mess. I had bruises on me. I literally could not get out of bed. But I'm just so thankful for the support and the encouragement. And yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but it's a 2-person show. So that's pretty much my story.
Wow. Megan, I want to go back to something that you mentioned, and I want it to be heard for all of our listeners. And you said the first thing you did was just write on a sticky note, kind of the first steps, which was, I am enough because I got out of bed today. So I just want every female listening that needs to hear this message that Megan is sending today, which is, you just have to take the first step. And it doesn't have to be something monumental. It can just be writing on a sticky note, I am enough, and sticking it on your bathroom mirror, or I am enough because what's
That's
the
the
next
key.
line, right?
That is
Because
the key.
I got out of bed. You could do it with a journal. You could
Mhm.
have a journal that you write in every day, 3 or 4 things why you're enough. Start with one thing. And Megan, that was a beautiful story of taking our pasts, which we all have, and things that have happened to us, whether we chose for them to or not, and looking at it from that perspective of it happening for you,
Not
and
again.
you taking that and creating change for all of the women that are abused moving forward.
Thank you. I have no idea how I got so lucky. I know that's crazy to say, but I just know that God did not put me in that relationship as a punishment. He worked in my heart for 6 years, and I ignored him. And it's just the minute that I just acknowledged it, because there was so much fear of walking away from my ex-husband. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my amazing therapist and my strength tribe, that I like to call them. And it just goes to show you that domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, anything like that can affect anyone. I'm a therapist. I've been a therapist for 15 years and literally did not realize the scope of the narcissistic abuse until I was writing the chapter in my book. And I want to just say real quick about the cards. You get 5 of them for free. And so I have one in my car. I've got them all over. And the important thing is you have to have the word because behind it. Because if you just say I am enough, that's great. But you have to have the word because, so that you can put something behind it that makes you believe it more. And then you always have to add a period at the end. I have to give a shout out to one of my friends. She was on my podcast and we talked about this. The importance of having a period at the end of that sentence. I am enough because whatever it is, period. Because then that stops our thought from leaving it right there and not adding the but, right? Like, I am enough because I got out of bed this morning, but look at what I did a month ago. I was like, I didn't have these problems, right? So that period stops you from adding the but to the end. So I always like to put that in there too, is like the cards and the word because and the importance of that. So
yeah, it just wraps it all up, and kind of pauses it at that moment. And I believe also, it can be too overwhelming when there's too much, right? So that's why I was anchoring in the point when we were speaking about just take the one step. So you also mentioned something else that was very important for the message that you're sharing today, which is have a tribe. You need to have the support and the people around you that will be there for you, that believe in you, and that love you, and never be afraid to ask for help.
That is like the biggest lesson that I've learned since, especially obviously since I left him, but also even starting this nonprofit. I'm such an independent person that asking for help has always been difficult, but I had to let all of that go 2 years ago. I mean, I was to the point where I was lying to my friends and family that I was seeing him. And my roommate actually flew in before she moved here, the day that he walked out of the house, and she had no idea he had been over. And so like I had some bruises on me, and like she was just like, what the heck? And and so I have my strength tribe and accountability people for different things in my life, right? So I have my strength tribe for my business, and I've got my roommate for when I don't feel like enough. Because even though I'm known as the I am enough girl, I still literally struggle with this a lot. Like, am I enough to run this nonprofit? Am I enough to open this domestic violence shelter? And so it's so important to have those tribe members. And that's the fifth step in my book that I talk about is, creating, strengthening your healthy habits, which is literally your strength tribe. What does that consume of? And so that's why I love calling your group Lead Up for Women, because this can be your group. I know for you, Colleen, is your strength tribe, right? And then you've got other people involved in your strength tribe. But having groups like this and being a part of something that's so supportive literally will change your life.
Yeah, you made another beautiful point. I love it when we get started, when we start talking about how we can work on ourselves and strengthen ourselves daily, because then we keep coming up with more and more points. And the other fabulous point that you made that I really want to drive home is just because you get through one thing and one struggle, and that you've gone over that hurdle, and you believe that you're enough, and you're standing at the top of the mountaintops, and I am enough because I got out of that relationship, the next hurdle comes.
Yep.
So remember, you're going to be faced with more and more hurdles. That's why, in Lead Up for Women, we talk about lead up and leave the ladder down. I want women to really embrace that you need to be there to lift other women, not judge other women, but support them. And just as you're building this beautiful shelter for women to find peace and to find shelter in, what I love about that is you're providing an opportunity for them without judgment to just come somewhere to have peace and be safe. It doesn't matter what their choices were. It doesn't matter if they stayed in a relationship for 5 years and allowed the abuse when all their family told them to get out 4 years before that. That doesn't matter. So I want everyone who is listening to remember, make the choices that are right for you. Remember you're enough because ... Write that down and then end it with a period. And that's an everyday ritual, just like you would journal, just like you would get up and write your gratitudes, just like you would work out or drink your warm lemon water first thing in the morning. We need to nourish not only our bodies, but we need to nourish our souls. And a lot of that has to do with what we're allowing in to penetrate our beliefs here, right? Here, that talk, we all have that talk that happens. That's a great way to silence those voices. So Megan, thank you. You've talked a lot about a book and the cards that people can get. You've also talked about the foundation. And I know you have another foundation that's being launched, or a fundraiser. So let's talk about how those that are listening can get involved with that. How can the women reach out and get those cards? How can they strengthen themselves every day and serve and give back to women that need shelter?
Thank you. And this is, you guys, just real quick, this is such a huge time, because I know we're all stuck in COVID and we're all staying at home, and finances are somewhat rocky right now. But literally the number of domestic violence cases that have shot up since stay-at-home orders is astounding. I know we don't have time, but the statistics are astounding. And so I struggled with, do I launch this fundraising campaign now or do I wait? And honestly, if you feel like you're not enough, one of the best things to do is to give back. It doesn't matter if it's $5, if it's $100, if it's clothes, toys, donations, whatever. Anything helps. And so you can literally go to thefreedomhaven.com to learn out about how you can get involved in supporting the phase 1 of the shelter. And then I don't know if you can order the cards from there. I got to check that. But you can also go to IamEnoughMovement.info. I will put all the links in the comment section when I get done. But it's IamEnoughMovement.info. There you can go and get your free cards. And then for my book, so like I said, you get 5 of them for free. You just have to put your address in. I always like to give a disclaimer. I'm the only one that gets the addresses. Literally, the envelopes are sitting right here. So it's like a one-man thing. I just stick the address on. So don't worry that your address is going to get shared with people. And then my book is on Amazon. It's You Are Enough, 5 Steps to Move from Struggle to Strength. It's available on Audible, paperback, and what's the other one? Ebook.
Kindle. Oh, ebook.
Kindle, yes. And so that talks about my struggle from moving from my struggle into my strength. And then I provide 5 steps that I actually went through while I was writing the book, and how to be able to move you into your strength. So lots of different places to get a hold. And everything on social media is just Megan Fenyoe.
Let me ask you a quick question before we move on to Geordoni Mckoy and get to learn more about her. What would you say to yourself if you had the opportunity to reach yourself 5 years ago?
I love this question. I would always say, because it's kind of like my phrase line right now, and I kind of use this at the end of my podcast and my TV show, but it's always be bold, be brave, be unapologetically you, because you are enough.
I love that. That's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan, for your message
so
today. That was so strong. And I know you've reached so many. So stay with us because I want you to be able to join the conversation.
Yes.
Miss Donnie. Hi, beautiful.
Hello.
I'm so glad you were able to join us today. Doesn't matter what time you get here. I'm just glad you're here. And so Donnie, I met her several months ago, and I met her in person for the first time when she flew in from Chicago to Arizona for our first sanctuary that we had this year. And what I love about Donnie is her ability to just show up, right? Just be vulnerable, be herself, say it like it is, and understand that it doesn't matter what's happening. She knows that she has the strength to be able to work through it. And she understands the value of a tribe and is creating a tribe on her own for nurse practitioners, because you're both in that world of medical, because Donnie's a nurse practitioner. She's also a speaker. She's also a coach. She also has real estate, and she loves her pit bull. So we want to make sure we bring that up because she's a pit bull lover.
Can I just say something real quick? My ex has my 2 pit bulls and I haven't seen them in like 4 years, but oh my gosh, I love that you love pit bulls. I love it. Okay, sorry. I promise I won't interrupt.
No, it's okay. That, Colleen, that's why I say I'm a fall fashionista and a pit bull lover, because that will resonate with people quicker than anything else.
Love
Smart.
it.
Smart. I love that you say that. And fall fashionista, you got it, man. Give me a sweater and some boots, It's 103 here today. It's so hot. So, the message that I remember you sending when I was around you was you grew up with the belief that life is hard. And that was like pounded into you, and that your entire life, you just believed life had to be hard. Let's talk about a little bit about your life, if you don't mind sharing with our listeners, and share with them how you switched to that mindset of believing life was so hard, but now life is what you make it.
Right. So, yeah. So my parents, my father is Cuban, my mom's Puerto Rican. So my father was in political prison for a certain period of time in his life because of political issues in Cuba. And then my mom had, she had some challenges growing up, right? I'll put it that way. So when now they get together and they have me, right? So they, your parents, whatever it is their beliefs are onto you. That's just the way it goes. So now I have a dad that went through this chaotic political regime as a teenager in the country that he was from, then have a mom that had a lot of difficulties just kind of, growing up as a child. So now the message that was passed on to them was that life is hard. Making money is hard. Relationships are hard. Living is hard. Keeping a roof over your head is hard. So then unknowingly, I can't say that they ever actually said that, but unknowingly, you pass messages down to your children. So I worked hard for everything. I worked hard for school. I worked hard for this. I worked hard for that. I worked hard for this. And I checked all the boxes. By the time I was 30, I was doing pretty good, and then I started feeling like something was missing, and I just didn't know what that something was. I had no clue what that was. So I started on this journey, and the best way I can describe it is I felt like I was being pulled, and that's the best way I can describe it. So I started on this journey of self-discovery, and it led me here, and it led me there, and it led me to Tony Robbins, and then it led me to this tribe and that tribe. So then slowly but surely, I started uncovering my own layers. And what I discovered was that we really, truly are infinitely resourced. And I'll never forget when I heard him say this, because I thought to myself, infinitely resourced, like, ew, that just kind of triggered something in me. It was weird. And I wasn't really about that life. So I thought it was kind of weird. But now that I know better, we truly are infinitely resourced. So now I've learned to tap into, I've always been resourceful as far as external resources, right? I've always been very resourceful doing that. But now I've learned how to tap into my internal resources, which is a whole nother bag, right? A whole nother bag of magic. So now the people that I work with are women that were me, I'd say maybe like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And when you grow up and you think life is kind of rough, you do have a very rough exterior. You do. So these are the women that easily intimidate other women. These are the women that just have maybe a rougher kind of way of doing things, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's no judgment on it. It's just these women, the women that I work with now, have also reached a place in their life where they know that they have checked off all the boxes, but they feel like something's missing. So those are the women that I work with now.
And what do you find that as you help them start unpeeling those layers, what are they finding that it's internal, right? It's not an external resource that they're missing. Although as women, I will have to throw a disclaimer out there that when we're in certain moods, shopping for shoes or going shopping or, buying something makes us feel better sometimes. So let's talk about how we can tap into our internal resources of creating that I'm okay and enough, and I'm confident enough with myself, because that has a lot to do with confidence, wouldn't you say, Donnie?
It does. So there's a difference between self-esteem and confidence. Okay. So self-esteem is being, confidence is doing. So if you're, say, I'm working with someone and she works at a corporation, she is afraid of public speaking. Okay. So her self-esteem is good, and she's secure in that, but she just needs, oh, great. My dogs are going to start barking. Yay. Okay, come on, pitties, behave. So she just needs more practice.
It's okay.
Okay, she just needs more practice speaking. She just needs more practice speaking. So she needs more practice to build more confidence in that area, right? So self-esteem is about, I am enough. Am I enough? So there are two different, realms. So once I see which one it is that we need to work on, Then we can do mirror work. Then we can do meditation. Then we can, and then I can, if it's, because everyone is different. Everyone truly is different. There's some women that need to tap more into their feminine. Okay, so yeah, I love doing that. We can do that. I'll have people do daily incantations, which to me that's a little bit of a step, a little different than affirmations. So it's very powerful, and it's like phrases about who you are and what your lineage is, and what this is fact. Like, I come from kings and queens. In my lineage is achievement. That is fact. So we do stuff like that. So if that's a self-esteem, if it's a confidence issue, right? We need to lean in. We need to step into action. We need to step into action. We need repetition. We need repetition, because that's how you build that confidence muscle. So it depends. It depends what it is. But I do a lot of, with a lot of women that I work with, I do a lot of the internal work. Okay. So like the meditation, the mirror work, the maybe a letter, like you know me, I love letters, Colleen. The letter to your little girl. There's another letter that I will do. Oh, I forgot the name of the letter, but it's about writing a letter to someone that you actually have a conflict with. Okay. And then actually having them write you a letter back, because we always wait and we always want to hear something from the people that we still have conflicts with. And we might not ever get that. So the more that we wait for something, the more we give our power away. And if there's one thing that I don't do and I hate doing, is giving my power away. That's my jam. Okay. So if you write me a letter back and I get to write what I think your thoughts are, that's actually giving me my power back. That's so so that's a lot of the internal work that I do with women. So the women that I work with have normally achieved a certain level of success, whatever that may be, right? But in every level, every new level, there's a new devil. There's a new devil waiting for you to tell you that, you know what, you're not ready for this position. You're not ready to run this nonprofit, right? You're not ready to do that. You're not. And then once you get the nonprofit packed down, right? And then when you move to the new level, there's a new devil waiting to tell you you can't do that either. So that's when we work together. And that's why the people that are holding space for other people and are running organizations and businesses, it is imperative. It is not, it's not even an option. It is imperative that you have someone holding space for you, because there's so many other people that are really counting on you.
Absolutely. And I think you made a really good point with that conversation. So thank you. I want to go back and anchor in one of the pieces that you mentioned that I felt was very strong, which was, we're accessing what already exists within us, the blueprint of who we are, where we've come from, experiences that we've had, experiences that our family has had, that our ancestors have had. So there isn't a need. Megan really reinforced this as well. And I love finding the common thread when I get on the podcast and we start talking, each one of you, because it's beautiful how this golden thread of sisterhood weaves through all women, which is, we are enough inside. We have the power. It is there. It has been there the entire time. It's just a matter of what it takes to go tap into it, and how you go and tap into it, and how you peel those layers away, and what those steps are. And I can tell you, not one person on the phone today has done it by themselves. Not one of us on this episode, on any episode that I've ever done, and any female I've ever spoken to, has ever made that big of a modification and success, or have moved past these tragedies or hurdles without the support of other people to help them understand how to tap into that. So the message of that is you're not broken. Just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean you don't have the ability. It's if we were getting the message, the three of us, that we were to climb Mount Everest next week, we would maybe all three believe we weren't able to do it. However, if we believed that we were able to do it, and we had a guide and we had a map and we had someone there to assist us, and they were telling us we were going to get to point A in 4 days and then point B in 4 more days, by the end of 3 weeks, and we reached the top, we could do it. But it takes a tribe, it takes a guide, it takes someone in your corner. And that's what you do, Donnie. You help women realize that it's already there. All you have to do is figure out how to tap into it. And that's what this whole organization is about, is giving you the space, right? Giving you the platforms, giving you the opportunity to understand you are enough, that you can have the self-esteem. And by doing, you will build the confidence.
You know, Colleen, that's very, very true. And if I can piggyback on that, my specialty is transformational coaching. So what my job is to take you from the idea of complexity to simplicity. Because every day I had this, and my coach like helped me yesterday. I was like, oh my God, thank you. I was in my head about some things, and just all over the place, and he helped me break it down and just keep it real simple. So that's where the magic is in the simplicity, and that's something that we've all mentioned. But it's just, and a lot of times we don't realize that these are everyday simplicities that we need. Although the tragedies and the big stories are huge and they're impactful, and we need to hear how you went from here to there, a lot of times, a lot of people also need how to get through everyday stuff, because that everyday stuff will pile up. It's just like, and not to trigger anyone or anything, but just like cancer, right? Cancer grows slowly but surely, slowly but surely, slowly but surely. And then one day it has this huge impact. When we don't learn how to handle the everyday stuff, then it also has a huge impact.
Absolutely. Yeah, you made a very solid point there. And let's just go back and be real. We've all been locked down in quarantine for how many weeks now? I think we're going on week 8 or week 9. And at some point, it's affected every single person, whether it was in the beginning with the panic and the fear, or maybe they just, like me, got to work and just started hitting the pedal to the metal and doing a bunch of work, because that's how I cope with what's going on in the world, is to just kind of, dive into work and do what I need to do. And at some point you say, wait a minute, we're still locked down. How am I'm struggling with this. And for me, the struggle, which I will be completely transparent today, was connection. I crave human connection, and this screen time is not enough for me. I need to feel another heartbeat next to me. I need to hug someone, right? As babies, this as being a therapist and being a nurse, as babies, if they are not held and loved and cuddled, they will die. If they're just left by themselves alone with zero connection. As humans, we crave human connection. And for me, that is my biggest want, need, crave, that I felt myself go through during this time. And so now that Arizona, where I live, is lifted and we're able to go back out, that's the one thing I'm looking forward to the most, is just being around people and being around community, and being in the community that I live in, and having activities with them, and talking and having conversations. And you made some really great points today, Donnie, and I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to reach out to you. You do meditations, and I know you've done meditations in groups I've been in. You've done meditations at at my sanctuary that I put on, that you were there. You can guide people in. One of my favorite practices that you did was writing the letter to your inner child. I love that practice because that brings up a lot that some people don't realize they've suppressed. So how, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, and I don't know if I want to ask you, are you offering like a 30-minute consultation with our listeners? How can people reach out to you?
So they can reach out to me on Facebook. It's Geordoni Mckoy.
So
You can
let's
also
spell
type
that.
in,
Let's
yeah,
spell
so
that for them.
it's
Yeah.
Geordoni. Last name is Mckoy. You can also type in Coach Donnie with a Doni, and you'll find me. It'll take you there. On Instagram, I'm Coach Donnie1, or you can email me at www.coachdonnie@gmail.com. And it has to be the www dot.
I learned that
Yeah, I know.
because I did it without it.
I know. Or you can reach me on my podcast, my new podcast. That's right, Boldly Lit and on Fire.
It is a fantastic podcast. So everyone, please go subscribe to it. It's Boldly Lit, LIT, and on fire.
Yes.
And you'll see a beautiful photo of her. It is just an awesome podcast. She interviews women and men. I don't know, are you interviewing men and men?
Oh yeah.
Are boldly
I'm
lit.
Boldly Lit and on Fire life. Like and you know, the funny part, the great part is that it's the show is becoming simple. It's all these people live a boldly lit and on fire life because they live according to their values. So we're taking this concept like, oh my God, how can I do this? And it's really a road back to simplicity.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to close out by asking you, Donnie, the same question that I asked Megan. What would you tell yourself 5 years ago? You had the opportunity to just step right in front of her. What would you say?
That's great. Okay, so what would I tell myself 5 years ago? I would tell myself to not make fear-based decisions.
It's good. Yeah. I think we can all take that step today and stand in front of ourselves 5 years ago. And what would we say to ourselves that we've learned? And just imagine what we've learned in 5 years and what we're going to learn 5 years from now, and how incredibly different our lives are going to look. So thank you so much, both of you, for just joining me today and sharing your heart and sharing your stories and sharing your past and being brave and courageous to show up as you. And I believe that's the strongest we can be in life. And I want to remind everybody that we do have another episode next week on the that'd be the 20th, on May 20th. And we're going to be interviewing Laura Magruder. She's the CEO of Maggie's Place. It's a shelter here in Arizona for women who are pregnant. And so we're going to be interviewing Laura. We've been supporting Maggie's Place now for about 3 or 4 months and donating to them to provide shelter for women that are pregnant. And we're also going to be interviewing Gina Noda. She's a really good friend of mine, has had so many challenges in life, and just is a force to be reckoned with. And she owns her own consulting group. Love her to death. She's going to be here. And I want to close by just reminding all of you, and the two of you really set this up beautifully for me today, which is, remember, you are the only you that has ever been, and you are the only you that will ever be. So how you pioneer your future is up to you. So remember, be you and be strong, and you are enough, right? All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great story. Nice meeting you.
Nice